I think we can start our third panel. Thank you to everyone who joined us back to talk a little bit about the true potential of artificial intelligence. We were supposed to have 3 panelists for the panel, but Akram unfortunately fell sick, so we wish him a very quick recovery. I'm very happy to introduce both panelists to the audience, Professor Samir EL-MASRI and Luna Lange from Karm Legal Consultants. Please, if each of you, first of all, welcome and thank you so much for joining us on this panel to educate everyone a little bit about AI, where does the true potential stand? So please, if you can both introduce yourselves, what are you doing in the space, and what is your background, so the audience gets to know you a little bit better. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Hello, everybody. My name is Luna Lange. I am originally from South Africa. I am a qualified lawyer now practicing in the UAE. I am part of a fantastic team by the name of Karm Legal Consultants. We are a digitally native law firm. We specialize in new age technologies. We are made up of a multidisciplinary team, all leaving behind our traditionalist law backgrounds and focusing our attentions to the here and now and the future. We make it a point to be and to act as facilitators between private players in the field, various fields of technology, together with regulatory authorities globally, not only in the UAE or the greater GCC regions, and also just to help promote the innovation of technology together with regulation and striking the necessary balance between the two.
Thank you, Luna.
Thank you,
Professor, please.
Yeah, hi everyone. Thank you very much at the beginning for Person and for you, Lordana, and for everybody who is with us now. So, nutshell, I am a full professor with digital technologies, and at the same time, I am lucky enough also to have a very long experience with industry. So, I worked in France, I worked in Japan, I worked in Australia, and I worked in the Gulf now, mainly with digital technologies. Currently, what we're doing, we're helping the largest company in the region mainly, as well as some like institution or some companies in France, in Europe, in Asia as well, but we focus on the region. So we help the largest company in many different sectors and industries such as telecommunication, banks, real estate, and government with digital transformation. So digital transformation is not, as my colleague mentioned before, is not only about technology. It's a whole big thing that we need profoundly understand how it works. And it's so much related to innovation as a driver for digital transformation, capabilities, digital strategies, etc. So we help those companies with digital transformation and digital technologies. And I would like to mention here, digital technology is not only about AI or blockchain. Those digital technologies all must work together. And if they don't work together, there is no value. Okay, so we can't say 5G alone or IoT, etc. So we train the large company at different level, the leadership, executive level, like from business point of view, how this technology can help, as well as the technical. And we do a lot of consulting services to help those companies to move from where they are to become digital company to belong to the digital economy. That's all. Thank you.
That's really great. Thank you, Professor, and thank you, Luna. I would like to start this panel by precisely asking you both, how do you see specifically the artificial intelligence as a technology progressing in the Middle East? Where do you see this technology delivering most value?
Go ahead, Luna.
Thank you very much. Bless you, Professor. What a gentleman. Thank you. Loredana, so in our field, I must say, we have seen great progression in the implementation of AI-enabled technology, particularly in the field of cybersecurity. We've seen it in the field of digital identity and digital KYC. Particularly now with the digitization undertakings of the various financial market infrastructures. We have also seen it in the medical field, you know, one of the most important fields as well in the region, something that's really seen an upflare in the adoption of technology and the broadening of the use of such technology to, you know, include further data analyses and data exchange as well.
Great. Professor, your input?
Okay, let me give just to see the big picture around the world about AI and how much it contributes to the global economy and how about the Middle East, and then we see the value it's going to add to our economy here in the region. So digital technologies in general that include AI and blockchain and IoT and all these digital technology will contribute in 5 years by 2025 with $60 trillion to the global economy. The global economy today is $90 trillion. In 5 years, only digital technologies together adding to the global $60 trillion, that means 2/3 of the digital of the global economy, just in 5 years. How about AI? AI will contribute between $16 trillion to $22 trillion in 10 years to the global economy, which represent between 16 to 22% of the global economy, only in 10 years. For example, if we look at the blockchain will contribute 3.1 trillion to the world. IoT will contribute around the same as AI, like $17 trillion, which represents 17 to 20 trillion. It's equal to United States GDP. But we have to be careful. There's overlap between IoT and AI because IoT is, AI is part of IoT because IoT collecting data and then conducting the analytic and artificial intelligence, right? So we have to be careful how to, we don't add all this up. Now, if we come back to the Middle East, if I look at the main promising country right now in the Middle East, I look at 7 countries. I look at Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, I look at Egypt, and I look at GCC4, we call them Kuwait, Bahrain, Oman, and Qatar. So how it works with this? So it is expected in 10 years, like 2030, that UAE is leading to grab $135 billion from AI, which represent almost 14% of UAE economy in 10 years only. So, and Saudi Arabia is around 96 billion, which represents 13% of its economy. And then we come back to the GCC 4, they grab around 86 billion, which will represent about 8.5% of their economy. And Egypt, about 23 billion, represent 8% of Egypt economy. So this is how it's working. So where are the main industry and sectors in the Middle East AI can contribute and add value? Number 1, financial services. Number 2, public services such as healthcare and education. Number 3, we have manufacturing and also retail. Okay, automotive as well, a part of it. So in terms of the financial services, it contributes to chatbot, it contributes to identify fraud, it contributes to automate all the processes internally and add value to the customer. So we have internal and external. In terms of manufacturing, as you know, the region is very popular with oil and gas. So we need to automate all those processes. automotive as well, and transportation. As you know, for example, if you look at Dubai strategy, by 2030, 25% of Dubai public transportation based on the digital strategy of Dubai will be autonomous and driverless, okay? In addition to retail, in addition to, for example, in education, personalized education, healthcare, when we replace radiologists with AI radiologists and identify diseases, track pandemic, etc. So this is how it is in the Middle East.
Thank you, Professor. And since you spoke about substituting radiologists, I would like to pass on, and I think Damo mentioned this in the previous panel, connecting where AI is delivering more value when you said healthcare, public services, financial services. How do you think it will impact the workforce? Is it really, are radiologists really replaced completely 100% from computer vision as the area of AI, which will contribute a lot in that perspective? Is robotics going to, let's say, replace the workers in factories? What's your opinion on that?
My opinion, or Luna, you want to answer?
You can start.
Please go first.
Yes.
Okay.
You mentioned.
I have very strong opinion about this, because I see around the world a lot of people misunderstand the use of technology, and they always link this to unemployment rate. It's very wrong. I will tell you how. If you have a company, okay, this company, when we start digitalize this company, digitalize, not digitize, the difference. And we do digital transformation. And again, digital transformation is not only about using digital technology. It's a full thing. And I mentioned it at the beginning. So when we start to digitalize our company and use with innovation way of digital technology, most people think this company is static. Static means if we have 100 employees, and I introduce AI, we'll fire 50 employees. No, actually, it's very wrong. Why? Because this company strategy is to grow. So when I introduce AI, not only I will replace some employees, definitely, but I will need more employees because I will open more branches. My revenue will grow so fast by introducing this technology. So introducing digital technology and AI, not to replace a human, to grow, definitely. Okay. But we have to be careful. Part of our life as a human, the transformation. If you look, Lordana, at your maybe parent and grandparent and ancestors, what kind of job they are doing? Completely different of what we're doing today. So as a human being, as employees, as a leaders, we have to have this mindset of transforming ourselves every day and upskills and learning new skills to keep ourselves relevant to the market and the business. If we don't do such a thing and we keep ourselves in our comfort zone, we will definitely be out of the market and no one will need us. So this is something very important. For example, if we come to the radiology. Radiologists, I will never give an advice today to send somebody to do radiology. Why? Because one radiologist need half an hour to read one digital health image, need half an hour to diagnose and write a report. And the research showed that 15% of the report, there is a lot of 15% of mistake. With artificial intelligence, the system is capable to read and diagnose and write a report for thousands of images in a matter of seconds and super accurate. So we need definitely some radiologists, but the number will be much less, to configure this system, to work with this system, to make sure the data is right, the training, when we train the model, is right. So this is how I see things.
Great. Luna?
Professor Samir, I agree with you 100%. It is about remaining relevant in the market, and also in that way, as technology advances and innovation continues, so must we upskill. That is an absolute requirement. It's all about, again, your example of radiologists, supply and demand. The demand will lessen with the use of technology because we don't need that much manpower to do the same operations. What I will say is that AI and technologies are enabling us to automate and optimize various services, various products that we provide, whatever it is that we need to do. It cannot completely replace a human. And also, instead, it should be interpreted and accepted as such that it will rather complement humanity as opposed to expel the humanity from the equation.
I completely agree with you, Luna. I believe that the best, let's say, approach to collaboration is precisely having both humans collaborate with the technology in order to get the best solution out of a business case, or to improve efficiency, to improve other business KPIs. So collaboration is key. My next question, though, and thank you both for your insights. The next question would be focused on the big techs. We know that Google is doing a lot in AI. We know Amazon, IBM, a lot of big techs are doing a lot in the artificial intelligence area. How do you see the relationship between the technology and the big techs? Are they, let's say, assuming too much power over our data, over what the systems of the big techs are controlling? And Luna, after giving this insight, I would really like to stop with you a little bit into talking about the AI ethics and explainable AI. Okay, so that's the legal side that I would like you to really dwell on.
Thank you, Loredana. So I'm going to let Professor Samir please start with his technical perspective.
Go ahead.
I'm going to complement what you say, Professor,
okay.
But I'm going to focus on the legal and ethical aspect.
Okay. If we come back to the big tech, I believe the big tech, they are the great winners in the world economy today. If we look at Apple alone, it represents, or it's equal to 60 developing country GDP, Apple alone. And if you look at Samsung, equal to Kuwait economy. The reason those big companies, they are expanding, by the way, if you look at them, they expand in every single industry. You look at Facebook creating Libra, okay? I had some article with Reuters on Libra and normal cryptocurrency and other things. And we see Apple Pay, we see Apple TV, we see Apple credit card, we see Apple eSIM. Why this company, they are expanding and expanding? Those companies, because they have the digital capabilities. And this is one of the main key of the driving factors for the digital transformation. Infrastructure and capability. They have the capability. In any industries today, wherever you have a data, you have digital technology, or digital technology can add value. So any industry, it doesn't matter what industry, those big companies, they can enter and they are expanding. If we look at the 4 top big tech, Facebook, Google, Apple, and Amazon, they represent almost 3.1 or 3.2 trillion dollars. They worth 3.2 trillion dollars, equal to the Arab world economy. Only 4 American companies. Equal to the Arab world economy altogether. And I expect they will grow and grow. And because they investing heavily. Because this big time, I worked for NTT, the largest telecommunication company in Japan. I worked for GE, one of the largest company in the world. How this company, they look at something simple called Gartner Hype Cycle for Emerging Technology. I recommend everyone to go and see that. And they see this curve, how these technologies, they come from like being emerging to be mature, to be commercialized. And they invest heavily. For example, GE is manufacturing company, right? So they want to be leader and provider in 3D printing, not to be consumer. So they go and look for the largest 3D and most successful 3D companies in the world, and they acquired them. Okay, so those companies, they will expand more and more. And for example, if we look at AI, they're investing heavily in AI to dominate more and more, just because they have this digital capability. And we see a lot of, recently a problem with those four big tech, how they are manipulating, or dominating. And we see some problem with the Congress, etc. in US. But definitely those big companies also, they will contribute to make other small companies work with them, because they don't have enough resources. And we witness this with the cloud services, for example, in the Middle East. They don't have enough. So they partner with a small companies, so to help them to grow and deliver.
Thank you, Professor. Thank you very much. Luna, I would like to really focus on the concept of the explainable AI. So all of these companies that are using AI, be it a bank, be it a big tech, are they able today to explain to people the decisions of the algorithms of artificial intelligence? Let's say I go to a bank, I apply for a mortgage, and the bank says, no, I'm sorry, you're not able to get a mortgage today. The decision came from an algorithm. Is the bank able to give me legal, let's say, explanation of why this algorithm made this decision, right? So what are the challenges that artificial intelligence is encountering from a legal perspective?
So there are various challenges, but more so even considerations that should be taken into account right from the very start. Numerous legal considerations, ethical considerations, and then fundamental considerations. We need to make sure that privacy is one of the fundamental considerations. Security going hand in hand with that, and that should be implemented both by design from inception of a project and not merely as an afterthought. Professor Samir was very accurate in stating so well as he had how powerful these giant companies have become and what it is that they actually hold. But with great power comes great responsibility. And that's what we should focus on. We should focus on the implementation of various legal safeguards. But those safeguards and regulations should not stifle innovations, as exactly the previous panel and particularly Damu had mentioned. That's very, very important. Then also there should be regulatory and supervisory oversight as to what is exactly happening and how these technologies operate, and what is exactly the impact on such an individual. Certain ethics frameworks as well, because in the makeup and in the exactly as what you've spoken about, Loredana, in terms of the algorithms, there are certain biases that are fundamental to the implementation of and the workings of that AI-enabled technology. So what are those biases? I can tell you from a legal perspective, everybody will indemnify themselves to step away to say what biases are applied in respect thereof. But what is important to do is to manage those biases correctly, and where there are erroneous applications of biases, what is done in terms of that technology to correct those errors. That's something very important. From an individual perspective, however, we take it back to basics. If a person applies for a loan at a bank, what needs to be from the very get-go needs to be told to them is why data is being collected about them, for what purpose, how their data will be used. As far as the algorithm is concerned, they may not have to tell them that they apply a specific algorithm and explain that algorithm, but they'll certainly need to tell them what information they take, whether there is they ask you to disclose, let's say as one example, your nationality. There could be a bias built into that technology on the basis of your nationality. So it just needs to be told to them that you give this to get a certain outcome, but they needn't explain at this point in time how the algorithm is made up.
Very, very true. I completely agree with you. I mean, the average Joe person cannot really understand, even if you explain all of those lines of codes, you cannot really go and say, okay, this precise line of code of the algorithm is the one that said no to your application. So it needs, this is why big techs, according to my opinion, and I completely agree with you, needs to have a strategy on how they are handling data and how they are going to explain AI to this average person who has made an application from a legal perspective, from an ethics perspective. How are his data handled, right? Thank you so much, Luna.
Jordana, if I can.
Yes. Sure, Professor, please.
If I can add something to you. So we say, analytics and artificial intelligence are black box. The reason we say that because we have algorithm, and with this algorithm we build a model based on some historical data. We train this model to become this model to make a decision. Once we have input, we have output. So it is not easy to explain. I mean, in general, if we go into details, because it's based on a lot of data that the human brain cannot analyze and cannot reason, how this works. And that's why we use artificial intelligence, because a human being have a limit. We use this artificial intelligence with something, but we have to be careful. I mean, we have something called data visualization, so that can show us what is the reason. For example, as you're saying, why? Of course, we can tell this person why we didn't approve your loan request. We can show that. But at the same time, I would like to, because the ethics in artificial intelligence is very important, and regulation, and this should lead, and this should be part of designing the system, not after we design the system. The system should be designed with this ethics in hand, in place, in addition to internal auditing and all of these. And this will help a lot, the monitoring, because how I can base all my life and all my business and everything in the country on something that I am not aware of. And here where we have a prejudice bias, because if you train your model on some biased thing, let's say if we say in the United States, you have the African American, you have the white. If your data is based on the white American, we'll make a decision based on that. So this is where the regulation and the policies and the law and etc. should be in place and should be audited. And this is where internal auditing can play very important role.
That's really a great point.
Absolutely, and also with supervisory, efforts and just oversight. That's exactly where the human element will come in, and it takes us back to our previous point about that's where humans will remain relevant. So,
true. Also very true. Thank you. Last question to go very quickly, because we have another panel coming up. It's about, of course, education. Where do you think the knowledge gaps are mostly, and who do you think needs to be educated first? I mean, everyone needs to be educated, but where should it start? Should it start from a top-bottom or from a bottom-top?
Allow me, Luna.
Professor, please.
Because, all right. So this is very important question, and also I believe somebody discussed this at the beginning. We need to be aware that academic, it can never replace industry, and industry can never replace academic. Innovation is something, and research is something else. Innovation cannot be done in a workshop. It's a culture. Every single employee constantly and continuously should innovate based on what they are doing. And they come up with ideas, they submit, there's people to judge, and they can be implemented and should be rewarded and get share of this. This is how innovation. The universities in the Middle East, unfortunately, I'm saying this a lot, are disconnected from industry and disconnected from the market. We see we graduate a lot of civil engineers, and we don't have enough market for that. We don't have even a single bachelor degree in data science and data analytics in the entire Middle East. The economy or the trend, the digital trend around the world is always led by big tech, big company, not by university. But universities in the Western world usually follow quickly. For example, we see in all American, Canadian, Australian, European, they have now data science and have artificial intelligence. In the Middle East, unfortunately, most of the academic, they finish their PhD and they go and focus on very specific research, or somebody that some of them, they don't do any research, and they sit in their comfort zone. The university strategy and the country strategy should push all to innovate, okay? For example, you can't stay, you tell me you don't want to be promoted to associate professor or full professor. You have to, every year, to do some research. You have to link yourself to the industry. The university program should respond to the market need. This is a global problem. Even in US 2018, we have shortage of data scientists by 2 million, but they are doing something. Here, we are not doing a lot. At the company organization level as well, we implement evaluation and KPI for each employee and push them to innovate. Okay, for example, in the Dubai municipality, I work with them sometimes, they have KPI and they have evaluation if you don't propose ideas. But in order to propose ideas, I have to learn about digital technology and match the solution from digital technology with the problem and the challenges from business. This is how it works. So we have big problem because, as I said, the infrastructure is one of the elements to enable AI, and the capabilities, the knowledge. The knowledge is always leading. So the knowledge, I am personally helping a few universities in the Middle East to implement this. And we see, for example, we have in Abu Dhabi now, Artificial Intelligence University. So it's starting, but it is very slow. So we need to have these resources from university, plus train continuously, continuous training for the employee in the company. But unfortunately, let me tell you about this pain point. The pain point in the Middle East. Most of the companies in the Middle East are driven by vendors, unfortunately. So we lack knowledge and we lack digital strategy as well. This is a big challenge because if you don't have knowledge about digital technology and digital transformation, and if you don't have digital strategy, the vendors will lead you where they want to sell their product. Selling their product may not be always in your best interest. So you need to create this internal knowledge and stop relying completely on vendors. In order to build your digital strategy, you have to build your digital capability internally in order to understand and not to be influenced by vendors. And you build your digital strategy, and then you can bring vendors to help you execute your strategy and your innovation internally.
Thank you so much, Professor. Thank you. Great points. Luna, if you can quickly add your point. I'm sorry, but we are really running out of time.
That's fine, Loredana. Just very quickly, I can't agree with Professor Samir more, and the problem with vendors is that there's an absolute lack of impartiality. Like he said, that they won't necessarily act in your best interest, and people that are not informed cannot make an informed decision as to the implementation or onboarding of a particular technology. Without a data strategy, the blind is leading the blind, and without an implementation policy, even more so. That is why I've also seen in this region many organizations will onboard technology and do absolutely nothing with it because they don't know how, they don't have the adequate knowledge or resources or skills in terms of personnel training. They have nothing to work from. So it is, again, the blind leading the blind, and just a generous lack of understanding. So for myself as well, I was not taught to deep dive into technology and to understand technology at university, given my studies in law. However, I self-educate and I take part in many other, educative resources at my disposal, and that is how we understand it. And why I do that is because my job is to convince a regulator to license a particular technology or to adopt a technology or to build regulations in and around a certain technology. So again, acting as a facilitator, it's very, very important. Top down, yes, maybe favorable. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Luna. Thank you. Thank you both for all your insights.